That's where you hang out.
Live. We are live.
From
this
the
is
millions.
The millions.
How does it feel?
If you are the kind of guy who likes to listen to two English blokes talking about dating and take no action whatsoever, then this is the show for you.
You are in the right place. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry to our millions of viewers around the world. We're half an hour late. We were just, I don't know what we were doing, waffling away about personal matters, slightly concerning personal matters, and that's not an exaggeration. Well, today's topic is we won't. One day we're going to fuck this up and go live, and then all the concerning personal matters are going to be surfaced online.
Yeah.
It's fine. So what have we got? Brutal truth about women's fantasies. This is going to rock some guys' worlds, and we're going to, as usual, go through some key points and then do some parish notices at the end. So the basis for a lot of this stuff is a book called A Billion Wicked Thoughts, which is worth checking out. Two Google engineers bought 1 billion internet searches from porn companies, well-known porn companies, because they wanted to see what turns women on, what turns men on. Yeah. If you get people to fill in forms, people lie, right? Whereas if you just rake anonymous data with this big proverbial net and analyze it, it doesn't lie. So they compiled the findings from all of these billion internet porn searches into their book, A Billion Wicked Thoughts. And it's very, very interesting viewing. It comes up with the differences in what turns men and women on. So the obvious point is men are very visual. Women are more about narrative, story, audio, the written word, right? Think of 50 Shades of Grey. And actually the movie wasn't as popular, nearly as popular comparatively as the book. Also on there is what turns women on in terms of archetypes. So you've got these different archetypes we can lean into as men to practically apply this stuff. So think of the powerful billionaire, the guy from 50 Shades of Grey. Vampires apparently really turn women on. Pirates turn women on. Any guy with a kind of lives an adventurous life with an edge. Yeah, Johnny Depp was obviously quite a Shakespearean pirate in Pirates of the Caribbean, but the amount of women who were just obsessed with that. Anything that leans into fantasy role play with a bit of a guy with an edge.
Yeah.
You know, that's important.
They're also very strong male archetypes, aren't they? They're very strong sort of, I don't know, outlaw kind of male archetype characters.
Yes, although you do get the kind of intellectual seducer as well, the guy with glasses who's quite smart and who lives a double life. That comes up as well.
Well, that leads into this comment. Ding Chavez, can you be successful in this if you wear fucking glasses?
But we have a client, Wigfield, and we're desperately trying to get him to do laser. And I refuse to believe he can't, because glasses do not maketh the man when it comes to being as sexy as possible to women. Yes, if you're Johnny Depp. Yes, if you're an A-list celebrity. Yes, if you are in fucking big blockbuster movies and you've got a band in Hollywood, you can pull off glasses. But the average bloke, you do not look better with glasses.
Well, I was going to say maybe it depends on the type of glasses. I mean, there are we have a friend who has some very expensive, weird-looking glasses, and that looks fucking. I mean, that's a whole other issue. But
well, he looks like Mr. Doubtfire, doesn't he? Doesn't look good at all.
Yeah, but the issue with Wigfield is that not only does he wear glasses, but they're quite dorky glasses as well. Like there's nothing
big thick like milk bottle lens where it's almost you can see your eyes in it. It's reflective. They're not hot. They're classic math way. He's a math teacher. It's like, right, I'm going to build the ultimate set of maths teacher glasses to give to this guy, and that's what he wears. And it's like, no. So really, and he can't wear contacts because they irritate his eyes or something. So we said, look, please get the laser. It really does make a difference.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, we'll filter through a bit more ideas from this book, and I would recommend checking it out. Or if at the very least, go onto the Boss and search or ChatGPT or whatever your preferred AI is, and search these key points, because it is very revealing about what turns women on, because you can practically apply a lot of this information. So number one, female desire is narrative driven. One of the biggest finding in the book. Male desire tends to be visual and immediate. Obviously, the porn industry, think about that.
Yeah.
From a male lens. Female desire tends to be contextual and narrative based, meaning attraction builds through story, tension, emotional context, anticipation. You know, a bit like if you had a girl you met in some, group you're a part of, and she started fantasizing about you behind closed doors, like the forbidden fruit, something like that. Not just looks. This is why romance novels dominate female erotica. Fan fiction exploded, and stories of powerful men and emotional tension appear repeatedly. It's so important to remember this stuff, though, isn't it? Because as men, we are very visual. We do look at the girl and think, right, she's hot, I want to fuck her. But women are turned on, obviously, by a good-looking guy. But they do it in a different way. They start trying to place you in a box, being like, oh, I wonder what he's like. He's a mystery. And this is why you always talk about lean into mystery. Don't give all your cards away. If you're sat on a date, don't go, oh yeah, I'm doing my, I'm a mortgage broker and this is my 401k and I earn this much money and I want these many kids. It's like, no, sit there with a bit of a kind of quizzical smirk and just play with that moment and fall in love with the idea of just toying with that tension in the moment. And that's a learned skill, isn't it? But we have to try and see it through the female lens.
Yeah. If you put all your cards on the table immediately, I think that's always a bad move. Because what's left to work out? What's left to wonder about, And
that's the problem really with, if we fast forward, relationships we've been in, not together, but with various parties, because you move in and suddenly they see your entire life and it's boring. It's boring on both sides, but especially on the feminine side, because there's no mystery left.
Yeah. It's very hard. In fact, probably impossible, really, to retain mystery in a relationship long term.
When girls ask what you do, or do you deliberately cultivate that, or is it more just because we avoidant kind of personality type, or would you naturally be aware of that?
I normally fake a stroke when they ask me. So they're like, so what do you do? And sort of fall over on the floor, and then the waiter comes over, the staff come over and help me, and I sort of sit down and compose myself, and that normally diverts the question.
Women will often ask me what I do, and I say I can't talk about it, and it's like catnip. Just saying that, they then are like a dog with a bone. They cannot ask me enough times because it creates this narrative of who the fuck he is. Again, they're filling in the gaps in their own mind. Yeah, and the human brain demands closure, but you don't give it to. That is catnip for women. As men, obviously, don't be cryptic. If you're sitting down with guys, it really is about being transparency. Is this guy a good guy? Has he got my back? Is he fun to be around? Be very open with men. But with women, absolutely withhold information tactically because it's actually what turns them on.
Well, I've dated several girls who don't really know what their dads do. They don't really know, and it's sort of like I don't know where I'm going with that really, but it's sort of like at least 2 or 3 women, they're like, so what does your dad do? He's got a lot of money, but I don't really know. And not in a sense of like he's boring businessman. It's like, there might be something a bit dodgy. There might not be, not quite sure. They genuinely don't seem to know. And so with those kind of women, that's the sort of male archetype they're used to. And then if you come in and you're like, well, I'm in insurance, and I'm hoping to make partner by 2027. And you know what I mean? It's just like, this guy's been fucking fun.
Yeah. So narrative's super important. Less is more. Point number 2. The dominant male archetype appears constantly in the book. So across romance and fantasy content, the same pattern shows up. Women's fantasies often involve men who are powerful, dangerous, high status, emotionally intense, and hard to win over. The dynamic is usually strong man plus emotional connection plus tension, not passive nice guy energy. So what can we take from that? How can we apply that to...
Well, hard to win over is quite an interesting one, isn't it?
Yes.
It's like you don't want to seem like the dude who's just willing to put the shackles on from the first day. You don't want to seem too available. You don't want to seem too sort of just ready to, you meet her, maybe you have sex, and then suddenly she's coming around 4 nights a week, for example. You don't really want to be that guy. That is, you want to have a bit of distance. Now, there will be some people who may watch this and go, but that's inauthentic. You're playing games, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, maybe if you want to think of it through that frame. But I would also argue, to be honest, you should also have other shit going on in your life, you know, and you should also have the maturity to recognize that you just don't know somebody really when you first meet them. You can't, with the best will in the world, you can't just meet somebody and go, right, okay, this is it. She's definitely going to be the love of my life. All other bets are off the table, because you don't fucking know. She might be a psycho. How do you know? You know, you've got to spend a bit of time with her. So you don't want to, like, it's just strategically, you don't want to just open up and give everything away to somebody and they're not even a tested ally yet.
There is a certain, we see this pattern repeat in clients, don't we? There's a certain neediness where they just need the relationship because they're on a timeline. We've got one client who's a bit older, he really wants kids. There's another who's just a bit needy, and I think he's kind of hoping women save him. But underlining that all is this kind of, this neediness to need it to work with the girl. It's the analogy in this book we both like about an anonymous guy's pickup journey from loser to slayer. Could be bullshit, but it's a good book anyways. A bird, right? A wild bird, you catch it from the wild. It doesn't just sit in a cage and want to be there. It wants to fly free. And the analogy he used of a guy who wants to be in a relationship is the bird voluntarily flies into the cage and tries to shut the door on itself. It's not natural, actually. So the woman wants to win you over and wants to pin you down. And did we get a Dark Triad version of Old Stavvy today, or
no? Maybe I could try and do it while the stream's on.
He's still loading. Oh, you decommissioned him.
Yeah.
Point number 3. Female attraction thrives on tension. Most men try to remove tension. They try to be safe, polite, agreeable. But erotic narratives repeatedly show attraction built on uncertainty, power dynamics, emotional states, not comfort alone. So how can we, what do you take from that? Is there anything you take from that? Female attraction thrives on tension. There are some applicable points.
I mean, the tension of her not quite knowing where she stands with you is one thing. There's also maybe
uncertainty.
And maybe even that's, I was going to say teasing is a separate point, but maybe that is actually the root of teasing, because when you're teasing, even jokingly, look, we're talking about jokingly here. We're not talking about negging, you know, like, oh, your hair's shit. You know, we're not talking about that. We're talking about like playful banter, right? Even then, the purpose really behind that is, oh, wait a minute, I thought he really liked me, and now he's making this little joke about me. So what's going on? So that's also about her not quite knowing where she stands, isn't it?
Do you think the ultimate aphrodisiac for many women is, they kind of don't know where they stand with you. They think this guy kind of likes me, but I'm not sure. Is that the ultimate position to have a woman?
Yeah, I think so.
And even when you're hooking up with her, you don't want to just give her, because again, this is, guys will accidentally do this maybe correctly beforehand because they're a bit avoidant, but then as soon as they hook up with her, they then start bombarding her with texts, or they just think, oh, it's game on now. We can be really close and soulmates. It's like, no, still maintain that tension, that distance. That's going to make her want it more. There was a girl I was hooking up with in Sao Paulo. I saw her a total of 4 times over the course of 18 months. And there was a deep connection she felt. Well, I felt it to a degree as well, but it just goes to show less is more. Now, the reason that happened is because I was just traveling and backwards and forwards from Sao Paulo and seeing other women. But it just goes to show it doesn't, crazy, right? 4 times over 18 months, and I'm living rent free in her head. I've really, created something emotional there, a narrative. And she's obsessed, right? That's all I could think about. She even said, I can't stop thinking about you. It's like, I've only seen you 4 times in 18 months. I was even a bit surprised, but it just goes to show it's not about frequency. It's about creating narratives and psychological draw and then living in that person's reality. If you're on the flip side of that as a man, you need to fucking go and get other options. You should not be having this kind of projection of this fancy ideal if you're only seeing the woman 4 times. But it was on my terms that I did that.
It's funny, isn't it? Because it's in many ways the less you see her, the better it goes.
The less you text her, the better it goes. Less really is more. It really is. Like, it's the attraction is built in space in the female mind, and if you can, there needs to be some attraction there. Right, I couldn't have just seen her and not been sexual with her 4 times. We were physically we were sexually physical for those 4 times. But it's crazy how you can go long periods of time without a girl if you're the right fit, seeing the girl, but if you're the right fit and you get her on a deeper level and you understand these dynamics, they can literally just be in a holding pattern for months on end. They're off the market.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's powerful. Life is all a mind game, but especially this stuff, especially seduction narrative with women. It's a massively a mind game. So point number 4, status and dominance trigger attraction signals. In fantasy narratives, the male characters he triggers are usually leaders, warriors, billionaires, rebels, dangerous outsiders. Troy Francis. The consistent threat is power, not niceness. So leaders, warriors, billionaires, rebels, dangerous outsiders. The consistent threat is power, not niceness. That's obvious, isn't it? But again, it just goes to show like the lure, the lure of power, the lure of being that outlaw figure, right? Yeah, especially in the feminine brain.
So I suppose the question is then, so what if, when we say power, what do we mean if the guy is, let's assume there aren't any world leaders watching this, or sort of, I don't know, billionaire CEOs watching this, or rock stars or rap stars or whatever. So what is the sort of, how does the average guy in the street kind of communicate power?
Good question, and there is applicability to this in the next section, but I think it's just being. I think a lot of this stuff is just being aware of it. There is a danger with this stuff, though, isn't there? Of guys just we see it a lot with when guys read an article, maybe on Chateau Heartiste, about being a bad boy. They're actually quite a nice person, and then they flick into thinking they have to be really cold, really aloof, start being a dick to everyone, so that they're the misunderstood rebel without a cause, and that's attracted to women. That's incongruent as well, isn't it? You're not playing the game properly. Here we go. Oh, okay. I like what Stavros has done with his hair. He's got his tribal tattoos on. I mean, I have to say, compared to our clean cut version of Stavros, I think a lot of women are going to go for him. This version, this slightly edgier version. That's my 2 cents.
That's the first one. He's a bit more clean cut.
If we're doing hair modeling and just straight up beauty, I think original Stavros probably wins it. But if we're going for that slight edge, which most women, shame we don't have any female viewers because they'd be able to.
Well, we did the other day.
We had one, but I'm pretty sure that was Garcia. I'm pretty sure that was Garcia in a wig. I'm not sure. But it's a shame. Yeah.
If there's any female lurkers on here, let us know which one.
Put 1 or 2. 1 for clean cut Stavros, or any male viewers if you want to offer your opinion. 1 for clean cut Stavros, more attractive. 2 for bad boy Stavros, the white versus the dark, the angel versus the devil. Be good to get your opinion. But from a male understanding perspective, non-attraction perspective, I would say 2 probably is going to be more appealing to the female eye. What would you say? Or how do you view it?
No, I reckon 2. 2. Personally.
Because there's a bit of edge there.
Yeah.
It's like if you ask women who they found sexy, Batman, Christian Bale's Batman or Captain America, you'd assume this is AI, guys. Really? You'd assume most of them.
You poor man.
You'd assume most of them would go for Batman, wouldn't you? Because there's a slight edge there.
Yeah, completely. And even sort of like the expression that guy's got, the second one, he's got that kind of what they call hunter eyes in the looks maxing community. He just looks a little bit more dark triad, and the tattoos obviously emphasize that as well. So yeah, I would guess number 2, but Dean Chavez disagrees. He's put a vote in for number 1.
We know what you get off to, Dean Chavez. Men in those really old school kind of pedo.
If anyone wants signed copies of these photos, by the way, email us troy@realtroyfrancis.com.
Stavros.
We'll get Stavros to sign them.
You get a free Stavros condom as well. Number 5. Women want emotional intensity. Another pattern in the research. Female desire correlates strongly with drama. Surprise, surprise. Emotional stakes. Transformation arcs.
Are you guys? Sorry. How dumb are you guys? Hate to break it to you, but this is AI. No shit. Fucking hell, guys. We're doing it as a demonstration. We're doing it as a joke, mainly, but we're doing it as a demo, right? Of course it's fucking AI. Nobody's claiming it's not AI. How dumb are you? Fucking hell. This is why no one's getting laid who watches these streams, because nobody's got any fucking... I don't know. You've got to be a bit more sharp about these things. You've got to fucking understand what's going on around you,
So number 5, women, before we get on to actually how to apply this stuff, number 5, women want emotional intensity. Another pattern in the research, female desire correlates strongly with drama, emotional stakes, transformation arcs. The male character often changes her life or worldview. Flat interactions don't create that response. Any comments on that?
Yeah. So flat reactions don't create that response. So what, you mean just you want to inject drama into the conversation?
Women want emotional intensity. So female desire correlates strongly with drama, emotional stakes, and transformation arcs. The male character often changes her life or worldview. So he kind of plays that masculine leader role in a way, right?
I think the drama thing is so true, and women will say that.
Do you think all women are addicted to drama, even if they're quote unquote good girls, or you think it's more of a quote unquote bad girl thing, or you think it's just the feminine in general loves drama?
I suspect it's just the feminine, but I think there's a certain, if I'm being completely transparent, I think there's a certain type of woman, maybe not the most attractive. I'm not saying Munters, but maybe, just a kind of homely kind of girl who just really wants to just settle down, have some kids, have a simple life. I think possibly they're less inclined to.
But we've met very, very innocent kind of quote unquote good girls who love drama. They're almost leading down their lives, right? So I think all feminine is just attracted to it. I think it's a feminine thing.
But what about the slightly, I don't know, the very lovely, but slightly, she's carrying a little bit extra weight. She lives in Kent, she's got a couple of kids. I mean, does she want drama? Maybe she does. Maybe underneath it, she actually does crave that.
I think all women, I mean, just look at, again, what women consume. Again, this is what the internet searches are based on. 500 million women taken from a complete cross-section of society, right? And they all respond to this. So
he actually makes a good point here. Good girls, less drama. Bad girls, more drama.
Yes and no.
I thought you meant, but both of them like drama, I suppose is the point, right?
Yeah, there's this cliche. So, for example, I've hooked up with this girl in Bogota for a few years on and off, right? It's nothing there. She's more red flags than the Chinese, Communist parade, but she's very fun. But she's definitely not like, she's just got obvious red flags, very sexual, party girl, just all addicted to 2C. She is more of a bad girl, and she does like drama more. I guess she thrives on drama more. It's more dirty drama than clean drama. So I think all women like drama, but it can be cleaner drama where they're not going to torpedo themselves and self-sabotage and cheat on you. They just might read a rating book and fantasize, or bad drama where they're going to act out. So I just thought
of an idea for a stream. Actually, could we do a whole stream about red flag stories in women, like some of the crazy women that we've encountered?
Sure. Be quite funny. And then the plot twist is we've got more red flags than all of them put together.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Because if you're looking to attract, and the thing is, a lot of these women are very attractive in their own in different ways, and it's sort of like, but to attract them, you have to have some red flags yourself, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying to this bird, I was seeing her, I roped in kind of 4 times, and she's quite a good girl. And I was joking, saying, because she has got some red flags. Everyone does. I said, I'm going to, you've got some red flags. And she went, you are a walking red flag. And I was pissing myself. I was like, well, that's quite the compliment you've got there.
Yeah.
I didn't disagree.
There was quite a good little Mark Manson clip the other day, actually, where he said, if you notice huge intensity at the beginning of a relationship between the two of you, it can be a red flag. And I kind of agree with it. Did you see that?
I did see the thing, but I didn't see the reasoning behind it. Did he say why or no?
I can't remember. I don't think so. Not in the clip, but I do sort of know where he's coming from with that, because those things where there's a very intense sexual and emotional chemistry right at the beginning, and you just want to spend all your time with them and everything. It often, all of those, without exception, really have kind of ended badly for me in the end. So I do know where he's coming from, but it's very hard to resist the allure of that in the moment, isn't it?
Is that not just, could one argue that's just not a very good DNA tug connection? Sexual vibe and energy vibe and worldview combined, you're going to feel that pull.
Well, yeah. Maybe the reason that they fuck up is not because that pull was wrong.
It's because we manage it badly, maybe. Yeah, because maybe, we don't hold back, right? We go too it. Okay, so how this applies to dating. This is where you translate the theory into practical insights, so you guys can obviously go and apply all this stuff, of course, on top of doing your 100 approaches for the weekend, which you're obviously all going to do. Great stuff. So number one, stop trying to be nice and safe. Safety alone creates friendship. Attraction needs personality, tension, unpredictability. I mean, yeah, it's just this basics 101, isn't it? The problem is guys will then take that as, oh, I've got to be a dick. So how do you apply that information? So stop trying to be nice and safe, but without swinging into being a knob or being this kind of cliched cold guy that a lot of guys fall into, because they go from nice, they're very nice, to I've got to act like a dick now. How do you not, you have to just fuck that up and go through that stage to realize that's not how to do it? Or how would you?
Well, I think humor is really important. You know, I think doing this stuff, but it's sort of funny, I think is a really good thing. I mean, one way I guess I sort of do it is, I guess my comedy, it's for David Brent, I guess my comedy is quite nihilistic in a way. You know, I have a pose of like, I don't really give a fuck about anything, you know, and that sort of thing. So I'll tend to introduce a lot of that. So I'm not slagging her off. I'm not demeaning her, but my whole attitude to life, and I play it up a little bit, you know, my whole attitude to life is, yeah, I'm just this decadent, dissolute character. I don't give a fuck about anything. Let's just go and buy some crack. You know, I was saying that last night. Oh, let's just go and buy some fucking crack, you know? And it's sort of, is that attractive? I don't know, but it's sort of, the reason I'm doing that is I'm trying to paint a picture of myself as being a little bit wild, a little bit crazy. Now, obviously, I'm not actually going to go and buy the crack with her, but you know what I mean? It's sort of, I'm not sitting there going, oh, well, you know, hopefully in 2 years' time, I'll be office manager and then I'll buy a semi-detached house in Kent. You know what I'm saying? So
there's potential for chaos
yes.
in there.
Yeah.
But I think you make a good point, which is why one way to stop being nice and safe is just tease women a lot. Because when you're teasing someone, it means you consider yourself at least equal to or above them. Because say you met your favorite celebrity, you're probably not going to tease them from the off, right? Because you value them over you potentially, right? But women, especially attractive women, they love being teased. And a lot of guys, they'll act differently around a hot girl. They're going to play it really. They don't want to fuck it up, but the reality is that's how you fuck it up. So always lean into teasing, ruffling feathers, not taking the feminine too seriously. This idea of amuse mastery. You're the adult masculine. She's the childlike feminine, right? Like you had an 8-year-old niece. You mess with her. You don't take her seriously, not in a condescending way, in a loving way. You just tease her, you know? Attraction is in the push, as old TT would say, 27 minutes in. Be purposely contradictory was that quote. What was the one you just flashed up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is
sounds deep, but what does that actually mean?
Yeah, do you mean what about facts in your life or about actual details or yeah. I kind of I like the sound of it, but I'm not sure.
I like the sound of it as well, but I don't know what it means. Okay, so number 2, create a narrative. Instead of interviews, build stories, create moments, escalate situations. Women respond more to experience than logical conversation. So couldn't agree more. You know, I went through a phase. How does it? London, New York. How does it? I went through a phase in Ukraine where every single girl that came to this very posh, you know, well-mannered, it was a guy on piano, like this French kind of picture Paris in the 1930s, that style setup of a bar. Very well-to-do, nice, great cocktails. I'd take girls there in the middle of the daytime for a date, and I would always, you know, after a bit, just say, hey, you know, I've got to show you something, and get the girl to meet me in the unisex bathroom, these big kind of decadent looking bathrooms, wooden doors. And she'd always kind of be standing there not knowing what to do, but she would do it because women in Ukraine tend to be quite feminine. I was like, yeah, I've got to show you something. And I grabbed her by the hand and just, you know, basically jump us into one of the cubicles, shut the door and just start making out with her. And often that would lead to, I think 4 out of 5 times that actually led to me banging the girl in the thing. But even the one time it didn't work out to that, she was like, oh, that's so dangerous. You play on the edge, you know, and it's emotionally imprinting. It's being like, let's do something a bit wild here because women remember the experience. So a lot of guys they're desperate to get laid. So they think, oh, I'm just going to play it really safe. Do wild shit, like put it in there within context as well, within reason. So emotionally imprinting women in various ways is very powerful. Creating narrative, escalate situations. That'd be an example of escalating the situation. Women respond more to experience than logical conversation. She'll remember that. And girls still, I've been in touch with one girl, she still remembers that 4 years later. She's like, I can't believe that time in the middle of the daytime, all those people sitting there, that happened.
Yeah.
So play on the edge, because we're all
become one of those sort of archetypal stories in her life that she always remembers, and maybe she ends up marrying some local insurance broker or something and whatever, but that's always going to be imprinted in her psyche, isn't it?
Yeah, because if you think about what humans actually remember, it's novelty and intensity. So that's all we, as men as well. I don't remember what I ate for lunch 3 days ago, but I remember the time, recently I went on an instant date and there was fireworks, so if you think about it, creating a life that you can look back on fondly and remember when you're 80 and smoking your pipe in the retirement home in Thailand, getting a hand shandy, do shit that pushes the envelope,
Yeah. Okay, so he said, say slightly inappropriate things in a formal setting, but not totally inappropriate. I mean, yeah, I think that's correct.
Could be. Again, I think having a self-amused frame to life is great, because you literally you push the envelope just for your own amusement, and you don't care about people's reactions. So I think you talk about mental point of origin. A good social mental point of origin is self-amusement as the base to everything. And then you just don't really care too much. You don't really care if you offend someone. You don't really care if you get a laugh or not.
Yeah, I like a lot of innuendo, though. Like, I don't really... I personally... Maybe you disagree with this. I personally don't generally actually talk about sex really on the first dates or anything like that. But I like a bit of innuendo. I like to imply. But there's a guy that we work with, and he's like, on the first date, he's like, so what is your favorite position? But asking it as a serious question. And there's something just a bit... I personally wouldn't do that. I mean, maybe it gets an effect. I don't know, but I think it's better to hint at this stuff in a naughty sort of way rather than just being very clinical.
Insinuation is very powerful, is it? Double entendres and just the look in your eye that what's this?
Oh, how many anal orgasms have you had?
So number 3, lead the interaction. The archetypes that trigger attraction are men who decide, who lead, who move things forward, not men waiting for permission. 100%. Like, lead. Always lead. Like, don't say, oh, can we meet on Wednesday? Say, look, I'm back in town. Let's do Wednesday. Drinks, wear something nice. Right? Because even if the girl says no, she's, there's no kind of, you're not hedging your bets. You're just fucking leading. It's way better in life just to say stuff. Instead of asking questions the whole time, make statements. And if people want to disagree, they will. And if they don't, they won't. Right? Especially with women. Women really do want to be led.
Because you could say to her, oh, so, we should go for drinks, or would you like drinks, or would you prefer tapas? But, we could do Thursday, but always is maybe Wednesday's better for you, or Friday. You could leave it like that. But why not, instead of doing all that, why not just say, right, meet me for drinks Wednesday, 8 p.m., X Street. And she's still going to give you the information. She's going to come back and go, actually, I can't.
She's either going to go, yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's it. She's either going to go, yep, or no, and suggest an alternative, or just ignore you. But either way, you've kind of led. You might as well just get used to leading as the masculine. Because if you think about it, forget male and female. We generally men, we carry masculine energy, right? And masculine energy is decisive and you lead. And the feminine wants to be led. It doesn't want to be consulted. The more feminine and hot and dainty and hot the girl, the more she wants you to step into the masculine and suggest and tell her. And if she has a real issue, she will say. But most women are very, very happy and safe in that feeling of safety in that position. That's what they want. They want you to take them by the hand and show them the way. So I think men, especially the Anglosphere where life is pretty soft, I think we've lost the art of leading. Yeah. And we're not saying you go around shouting at the girl and ordering her to do stuff. Pick that up, bitch. It's just gentle, like firm. This is what we're doing. And at any stage, if she really has an issue with it, she will tell you. But way better to do that than not.
Yes, indeed.
Point number 4, be emotionally expressive. Flat interactions kill attraction. Women respond to humor, teasing, emotional spikes, playfulness, not neutral politeness. How often do we see this a problem with our clients, Mr. Francis?
Sorry, what was that
bit? paying vast attention. Be emotionally expressive. Flat interactions kill the attraction. Women respond to humor, teasing, emotional spikes, playfulness, not neutral politeness.
Yeah, I think it's huge. Actually, I think that is one of the very key problems, isn't it? And it's almost slightly outside the realm of oh, be the bad boy or don't be the nice guy. It's almost slightly beyond that. It's like be a fucking human being, but also you've got to inject what you're doing, what you're saying, how you're acting. You've got to inject that with some kind of drama as well, haven't you? Like up and sort of peaks and troughs. Like 1 minute you're talking about something fairly mundane, then you spike it up. You make some kind of like sexual innuendo, or you say something slightly shocking, and it's like, oh wow, and then it spikes up, and then you bring it down a little bit, and then you come up again, and then you know what I mean? Like you want to bring some animation into this, and I think a lot of guys don't do that. So they're not creating any emotion in the performance.
Should you almost treat it like a performance on a stage, right? When you're with the girl, to a degree.
Sorry, should you what? Do a performance?
Should you treat it like?
I was reading the comments now.
Should you? You're like an ADHD squirrel. Like, where's the next open hit? Should you treat it like a performance on a stage when you're with a girl? Is it a bit of experience?
Well, this is the bit that some guys get pissed off about, because there will be some guys that we've worked with who will push back and go, no, I just want to be authentic. And it's like, I always do treat it a little bit like a performance, but it's not a performance where I'm being completely disingenuous. I'm not going in there pretending that like I've got a Bugatti and I own an island. Well, bad reference at the moment, but I own a private island. It's not the best. You know what I'm saying, though? I'm not sort of saying, yeah, I've got a home in Malibu and I've got a Bugatti outside and 7 Lambos. It's not like I'm not lying about stuff, but I am presenting myself in a specific way. So if I go out and I meet a girl for a drink or something like that, the way I behave with her is going to be a little bit heightened. It's not going to be the same way I would be when I meet you for a coffee or whatever. It's slightly different. Is that a performance? I suppose so, but I think everybody's playing a bit of a game at the beginning.
Yeah, but it's enjoying the game, right? If the Alan Watts philosophy is you're the awareness, we all get this human meat suit, but you're the awareness behind that, and you choose how to play that game to get the most enjoyment out of life. So why wouldn't you lean into a bit of a performance when you're with a woman to enjoy that scene, give a maximal emotional effect, enjoy it for yourself, right? That's just being smart.
Yeah, so I'm playing an ever so slightly heightened version of myself. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's not, and obviously if I was meeting you or if I'm meeting my mum, like obviously I'm not going to be that exact character. Because when I'm
but you're playing if you're doing it smartly, you're playing a slightly different role to maximize those experiences as well. Yeah. Maybe you're being with your mum the very good listener and asking about her life. Maybe with me, you're playing like the banter. Oh, mate, let's get the chang. And actually, we shouldn't. You're playing a different. You're still playing a role in that scene to maximize your enjoyment. And if you're smart about this, which you are, and most guys aren't, to maximize the other person's enjoyment as well, aren't you?
Yeah. But what I actually quite enjoy about dates is the fact that you do get to step into a slightly different version of yourself for an hour or two. But I also sort of would justify it by saying that I think girls are doing this as well. I don't 100%. Think when you meet girls on a date, they're also, I notice actually if you try and analyze it, I think you would really see a lot of evidence for this. But they're a bit guarded as well, aren't they? Or they put on a bit of a thing, they're sort of a little bit flirty and a little bit guarded, but not too flirty because they don't want to make it seem too easy. Like they're playing a game as well. When they're with their mates, they're not going to be like that. They're just sitting there laughing at TikTok reels or whatever, just talking shit. When they're with you, they're putting on a particular version of themselves, and you're putting on a particular version of yourself as well. Which in the early stages, I think is fine. Now, obviously, as it goes on, you get to know each other a bit more. If you start dating or whatever, you can drop the mask a bit. But in the beginning, you've got to maintain. Well, again, it comes down to mystery, doesn't it?
Well, I think we're always playing a performance to some degree. And we're never really truly showcasing who we really are. Like no one really knows who you are when you're alone with your thoughts, right? So the Japanese say we have 3 different faces. People wear different personas depending on the audience. One is for the world, the public one. One is for friends, family, intimate. And the third is the truest hidden self, right? What keeps you awake late at night at 3 a.m.? You're not sharing that with me or with a girl you're on a date with, right? So we're always playing a slightly different role. And if guys are thinking, oh no, you've just got to be really authentic, there's no such thing as authenticity. Well, because you play a slightly different role in every scenario, and you do it either consciously, which is smart, or unconsciously, which is dumb. right? Thinking that everyone wants the same size fits all of you. No, that's just not being very clever with what you're trying to do.
The real horror of what you just said, because I was thinking then what's keeping me awake at 3 a.m. and it tends to be LBC really, if anything, or because I need to go.
Well, if you had to be stuck in a lift with James O'Brien or Nick Ferrari, which would you pick?
Oh Jesus, I don't.
Are you not a fan of it? Why do you listen to it if you're not a fan of these characters?
Because I prefer the guys in the night. I don't really.
Okay. Who's your go-to then? If you had to be trapped in a lift, who's your go-to? What's his name?
Or her name? Names always go out of my head. Fucking hell.
Mr. S.
Who's that? Oh, are we talking clients?
No, I'm talking your favourite LBC presenter who you listen to. The dulcet tones that send you drifting into sleep at night.
Okay, so there's a guy called. You can
acknowledge it. I mean, what I will say.
There's a guy called Nick Abbott who does the late night.
Is that his voice there? Is that his voice?
There's a guy called James Hansen. He's pretty good. There's a guy called Nick Abbott who does weekend nights. And yeah, so anyway, anybody who's listening to this, you need to get. There's a guy called Richard Spurs, pretty good, and there's a guy called Ian Payne who does the early mornings, like 4 a.m. to 7. He's really good. So possibly Ian
4
Payne.
4 a.m. to 7. You're up early these days, Jesus. 4 a.m.
No, what are you up? I still wake up. Sometimes wake up about 4, and I hear it for a bit, and then I fall back to sleep again. But anyway, the point I was going to make is the real horror of actually this. When I was thinking about the question, is not that I've got some terrible dark secret, but more that actually the real me, the authentic me, is just a bit fucking boring for the most part. And it's sort of like, so if I want to be authentic, okay, so what am I like when I'm on my own? I'm just doing my own thing. Most of the time, it's pretty fucking boring, really. So do I want to be authentic to that? Do I want to be authentic to that when I meet the girl on the date? Probably not. I mean, it's not going to serve me, is it? And is that? And it's also not really. I don't know. It's not. We have multiple sides. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We genuinely do.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm pretending when I'm on the date with the girl. It's just I'm not at that level of sort of intensity all of the time. Obviously, you know.
We're also very state-based, so you could be in a low-frequency state, right, and be like quite melancholic, but that doesn't mean that's going to be you know, around me after, you know, we're charging around a party. So we're not one way either, and we have different faces, and we have different ways to play different scenes to get the best out of it. This is what actors do professionally, right? And there's a real skill to that, and we should be doing that. We should be navigating that. I like to see it as we're the playable character in the game of life, and everything is a different scene. How do I maximize this scene to get the most out of it? The most enjoyment for myself and create good emotion for other people, because all people really care about is how you make them feel. They don't give a fuck about you other than how you make them feel and what you can bring them to make their own lives better. So you sitting there, you know, the client sitting there unloading his, like, think he's being vulnerable, unloading his, like, why he's depressed in life on the girl. I'm sorry. The girl, Svetlana, doesn't want to hear it. It's not making Svetlana wet. It's making her dry as Gandhi sandals. Right, and pissed off with you because she's like, why the fuck is this dude complaining to me? I'm the feminine, I get to complain. He shouldn't be doing that as the masculine.
What would you? But again, I can hear the comments of the haters. You know, sort of like, no, I just want to be authentic. I just want to be me and all that. What
is authenticity? I would pose the question back. What the fuck is authenticity?
Yeah.
The thing that really I was hooked on before he blew him, he made the mistake, like all content creators, putting himself online and ruining the image. See, this is why staying faceless and imageless is so powerful. But Jazz's Virgin Confessions back in the day, Jeremy Cole, before he got mainstream, I love that. I was like, oh God, it's some anonymous bird ringing and going, I've cheated on my husband again. And Jazz, it's like 10 p.m. Jazz, it's all right. I've told him all. Yeah, it was, but he was, before he blew up and went mainstream with his TV show and it turned into this bear baiting arena, he had this thing called Jazz's Virgin Confessions. It was, no one knew what he looked like. You know, no big ears and all this. He was just a bloke, and it was like very soft, whispering voice. And women and men would call up with their dirty dating secrets and be like, I can't believe I'm fucking the postman. What am I doing? And Jez would be like, tell us more. So that was my go-to, like, listening thing driving around late at night in my Polo.
Yeah. I mean, I remember that. And even before that, I think that he was, when I was in Manchester, I used to listen to him. This is where I first started listening to talk-based radio, actually, because he had
he got me onto it as well. He was like one of the first of a kind, wasn't he?
He was doing the phone-in stuff, you know, and it was. I think it was like an early version of that, maybe before he joined Virgin, and he would have people calling in, but it was all about emotional problems, relationship problems, all that. He was kind of doing what we do now with the clients, really, in a way, but he was doing it on the radio. But yeah, I remember that the confessions. That was really good.
Jez's Virgin Confessions.
Then the whole Jeremy Kyle show thing. It turned into a bit of a. I mean, it was still kind of entertaining in a way, but it became a bit of a circus, didn't it?
Way better. Like, there's something very peaceful about driving around late at night, listening to that. I remember driving like on the A roads or whatever and listening to that, and it's quite peaceful in a way, but quite fucked up at the same time.
LBC Max.
LBC. Veiny member, one of my favorite named YouTube channel. So we go back to the key points anyway. We've got a couple more. Maintain an edge. Point number 5. This does not mean being toxic. So this is perhaps where we marry together this nice guy idea, not being the nice guy with and not being the total scumbag, right? As me and Troy have talked about, and our previous course have been named the edge. The kind of edgy middle ground. This is all sitting in. So point number 5, maintain an edge. This does not mean being toxic. It means being unpredictable, having strong opinions, not needing approval. This creates intrigue. Any thoughts on that one?
Well, yeah, I think finding that balance is the key thing, really. And I think it is important not to be. We're not going out of our way to be in any way toxic here or anything like that. And not even from some moralistic stance, but just because that's not really, it's kind of counterproductive and it's not very fun. You know, this is generally, really, these things should be a win-win. I know there's the question, can it ever really be a win-win, because there's competing agendas often, but really it should be kind of a pleasure. It should be a pleasurable thing for you. It should be a pleasurable thing for her. So you're teasing, you're joking, but you're having a laugh. It's not serious. You're not trying to rip her down. You're not trying to destroy her ego or anything like that. You're just having a bit of banter. She's having a bit of banter back. It's all good. There's good chemistry. I think that's what you're aiming for. So again, I think the problem is that people are very black and white often who come to this, and often it's to do with, well, maybe the fact that they're somewhat neurodivergent, but people tend to think, right, it's either this or it's that. So I can't be the nice guy, right? So I've got to be the stone cold 2D alpha,
Mm-hmm.
And so get in the kitchen, and all this kind of thing. It's like, no, that's not going to fly either, and also it's probably going to be incongruent to a lot of guys.
Some of the most charming people I've come across in the business arena or just seductive arena tend to be some of the best seducers, the most dark tried, tend to be the most charming. So the idea that to be like a bad boy with an edge, you have to be really cold and kind of
sort of unpleasant. It's
just not true. Actually, the greatest con men I've come across tend to be very, very charming and very likable, but they have dark intentions. Yes, Bill Clinton, great example. Who seems to be untouchable. There's nothing he seems to be able to do with his saxophone that triggers anything. Yeah. I mean, but then guys will go, yeah, but I've had experiences, and we both have, of treating the girl terribly. Treat them mean, keep them keen. Is there not something to that adage, Mr. Francis?
Yeah, there is, but well, you've got to. It's case by case.
I mean, the worse you tend to treat women I've seen, the more they're knocking at your door years later. Yeah, what does that say about the girl? What does that say about the girl? Are some women just more drawn to that toxic behavior? But it shows red flags in them.
I mean, I think in my defense, some of the toxic behavior I've never gone into these things and thought, right, I'm going to treat this person really badly because I want to upset them. Like, that's just not me. I want to be me. I just want to be me. So that's just not me. So I tend to go into these things with sort of reasonably sort of good intentions. And then usually I fucked it up because of my ADHD or my ADHD, tiny violin, or my sort of addictive tendencies or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not really intentional, but the overall effect has been, yes. When I have treated people not very well, they have tended to be more drawn to that behavior, But whether you then say, right, so that's going to be my strategy, I'm just going to go out there and try and treat people not very well, I don't think that's the best part, really, But I think it's just, you've got to just genuinely become a bit more of an edgy character, haven't you? You've got to have other things going on in your life. I mean, the only reason, how can I put this? The only reason that I have been able to be sort of treat people perhaps not as they would have liked is because I've also had other options in the dating market, If I had no other options, then none of that would have happened. So it's like, are you still sexually relevant? Are you still relevant on the dating scene? And if you are, then that in itself could be enough, because then she knows that there's the possibility that you can get more.
A lot of it comes down to just having options, being able to go out there and constantly fill the lead bank out, so you're not needy, really, because it's very hard to do any of this stuff just with one lead, right?
Yeah. So I want to be me means love my shortcomings instead of fixing your shortcomings. Well, yeah, I mean, he's got a point, hasn't he?
Okay. Any other parish notices worth going through?
We haven't got loads today, but let's have a look through. This is a very important question here from Colton. Should I wait for my leg lengthening surgery to approach?
I mean, kudos to you if you are actually doing that. I know 2 former clients, that actually did get that done. So I'm not sure whether it's a troll comment, but it's actually it genuinely is a relatively recognized procedure in Turkey. And I remember one client, he went from 5'9", and then after surgery went up 6'2". So he went from shorter than me to taller than me. It's quite weird. And I was like, was it worth it? And he was like, yeah, but he was kind of hobbling around a bit. So I'm like, has he lost the use of his legs? It's quite an extreme procedure because he wasn't even that short. 5'9" is not that short.
Yeah.
So I found it quite interesting. So it could be a troll comment. It could not be. Who knows? If it's not a troll comment,
I think it probably is. But I would say, if it was a serious question, I would say no, because you want to be.
There is no time like the present. Ultimately, that's all we have, isn't it? The present moment. Just fucking.
Yeah.
The hot girls always there. Like, it's always time to just take the shot. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah.
Guys will the height. I can empathize with height because it is. I'm not short, so I don't. But I can empathize. That would be, for a lot of men, that would be quite a tough pill to swallow. You've just got to adapt to your circumstances. Either if you are really fussed about your height, consider something like this if you're able to, and you're willing to go to extreme lengths. Otherwise, you just got to own it, and just accept it. We know we've taught some short guys who do quite well because it's in the it's in the edge, it's in the attitude, it's in the self-belief.
Yeah.
This is all that plays into what women just reflect back to you, how you feel about yourself, self-perception. We should do a stream on that. It's so important. But I've known extremely jacked, tall, good-looking guys who don't pull a muscle because they don't really think much of themselves. I've known guys who are not in good shape, short, balding, not particularly facially good-looking, who absolutely fucking kill it because they just have this idea that they're God's gift, and women just reflect it back to them.
Yeah. Well, Brooding C's only 4'7" in real life.
And he's bald, and he wears Adidas, and he somehow pulls women. So, he's a great example.
Yeah. Well, this is quite a good comment. She wants you to have that spark in the eyes, but she doesn't want to be the reason for the spark. Smoke spirit. Yeah,
Chavez dropping the lines, mate. Love it.
Yeah, he's kind of got a point there, though. That is sort of true. She wants to see that you've got some sort of intensity, some sort of fire in your soul. But yeah, if it's only about her, then that's a bit of a turn off.
We need to be living life on an edge. David Data calls it living life on the edge, right? Playing into the masculine edge. You should be doing that regardless of who you're fucking dating. It's not about the women. It's about you living that lifestyle, and then women are the byproduct.
Yeah. Vainy member.
How key do you keep it? How low key, right? Tusk, when you're approaching at the gym in Brazil, how low key do you keep it? Very low key. So I'm usually playing the Lost Tourist. There's a gym I'm actually going to go to after this stream. It's coming up to 9:30 here on Saturday in Brazil. So it's a busy gym. I was going in now, and I'm in a place called Recife. It's big gringo factor. There's not many foreigners here, so it's good. I went in there yesterday. Girls looking over, and the way to do that is, which I'd recommend in any gym, but especially if you can. The gym approach I like to is moonlighting between different gyms. I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for a good time. So I will just say, hey, any tips? I'm with a friend. We want to go out tonight. You look like you can even say, we've been joking here, me and my friend, but we self-amusement, but we say, you look dangerous. Você parece perigoso. You look dangerous. And again, it's just teasing, but women love it. So I'll be going low key. I'll be asking for tips. The Lost Tourist.
Yeah.
And by doing that, by opening the conversation, what you're really looking for is just, does she light up? Bright eyes, bushy tail, animated by your presence? Or does she get kind of like, look at you like, oh, and then go back to the phone? That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
She's high interest, carry on. And if she's low interest, you excuse yourself and say, adios, have a good life, without any reaction. No butt hurtness, no like, you know, some of our former clients charging down the street, annoyed when the woman doesn't want to give them the time of day. It's like, fuck it, just chill. Have that emotional containment with yourself. If she wants conversation, great. If she doesn't, great. Either way, it's great.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And then,
but it's a good point though, just on that gym point, because I think gyms are massively underrated. I've dated some amazing women from gyms when I'm traveling around the world. I like going to the gym; it makes me feel good. I like to be in good shape. There's hot women in gyms. Pick high-end gyms if you can, and the options are, you'd be surprised how many good-looking women there are, and no one approaches. So it's a gold mine. Now you've got to play it slightly differently if it's a gym you go to regularly. If you're just living in one place, you've got to be a bit more considered, I'd say. You're still doing the same thing, which is, hey, I've seen you around here a few times, you know. You could even say, do you come here often? Say a cheesy line, again, self-amusing, whatever.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And again, they're not listening to that first comment anyway. They're assessing you, and you can tell straight away, is she high interest, carry on? Is she low interest? Or is she in the middle? Maybe say one or two extra things and see what she does. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Very simple. So there's another one here. How long did it take before you were making a living from teaching this stuff?
Well, very early, because I was working part-time for Kezia. So that was hardly grand wages, but enough to keep me going. And then I started traveling on the road and had to make it work. So I was building it up a bit on the side when I was still doing an office job in London before I went fully in. But it's a lucrative market, because if you tie anything to death, sex, taxes, sleep, or food or drink, you're always in business. These are things humans always need to do. And we all know how fucked up for dating the Anglosphere is now, and how hard it is for men. So me and Mr. Francis, weirdly, are in a good business. Are we talking about crumpled notes? Oh, no. We're doing male dating space. Yeah, we deal with retards. It's terrible. It's like that scene from Something About Mary. What's your job? I work with retards.
So have you ever had students that try too many tactics and shoot themselves in the foot? Depends what you mean, really. If you mean specifically coming out on a boot camp and approaching, I mean, we would strongly discourage. I mean, what tactics do you mean, really? We strongly discourage that. We would basically get them to go in, probably open with a compliment or open with an observation, and then go from there. So not really. If you're talking more generally in their lives, then yeah. I mean, I think there's a number of.
I think there's a lot of. I think shooting themselves in the foot, we can use that as an analogy for self-sabotage. Yeah, I think most clients do self-sabotage. The number one way is they just don't approach. Right, so you're automatically not putting yourself in the arena, and then after that. So after this lack of being able to do the reps, the second biggest issue is just being way too serious, right? So just not understanding, tease, have fun, be playful, be a vibe lifter, flirt with the world, or be playful. The world is what we always say to do, and practice this with everyone the whole time, because then when you see the cute girl, it's not that big a deal.
So our client, who is Mr. PA System 0, says hard gym session, some light TNT.
I like it. We're this regular streaming thing seems to animate some people to the point of where you sound I don't know what to make of this, what we're actually up to. We've never done this before, have we? Streamed this much, but it seems to be getting some good feedback from guys. So we'll keep going until we're told otherwise.
So we're thrown off the air by the.
But good stuff, Dan. Hitting the gym, get off the approaches. You're still in Argentina. Let's rack up some of the approaches. Keep going. Oh, here we go. Eclipse with some apocalyptic chat. End times for the world are coming. Women are celebrating abortion and men becoming feminized beyond all recognition. Wars all over the world too. And again, I think we're on borrowed time. This is great. And I don't disagree with this. But again, I think what's within your control. I think a lot of guys that we see, they use politics and geopolitics and what's happening in the media with body blues, pregnancy as a way to escape their own lives. And actually, the only thing within your control is your thoughts, your actions, your beliefs. So why not fuck all this stuff and just focus on what you can do? Is your money optimized? Is your body optimized? Are you living an interesting life? Do you have dating options? Because if you don't, you need to focus on those, not this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is a good one here. So Dylan says, I'm 5'2", not considering leg surgery. Lol. Great. I mean, that's the attitude, really. Fantastic. But
Again, is he actually 5'2"? I mean, it's fair play to you for getting after it. I'm 5'7". I thought of that surgery. Well, the guy that my client who had it, a French guy, a really cool guy actually. I didn't think he had a big hang up around his things, and then he just announced he was getting it on. He was 5'9". He was not short by normal metrics, but it's all in your own head, isn't it? He obviously thought, right, 6'2" is going to make it the man. I'm not sure. But the problem is, Maxwell, there's a great book, Psycho-Cybernetics, where this surgeon from the 70s in the US had this exact thing. So he'd get non-attractive people in, give them full makeovers. And what he noticed was, the problem was they still didn't get the results they wanted from dating because their self-perception still fucked up.
Yeah.
So if you still have an issue around, you could easily do the surgery and then still be like, oh, I'm not tall enough. Or your self-perception doesn't really catch up. And then you're still screwed.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I mean, I go through that saying.
When do you plan to have your leg lengthening surgery? Third leg. Oi. Third. I say that's not a place when you can say to women.
Yeah. I just don't know, because I would be worried. What if it affects how you walk? What if, because it's going to take you a while maybe to walk properly?
Kind of what happened, right?
And then you feel like, I'm tall, but I'm walking like a buffoon, and then that's going to get you.
You're walking like you've just done, around in a dark alleyway with 4 black guys, Bonnie Blue style, aren't you? Like John Wayne.
Walking like an eviction. And it's so, all right. This is Elf Tower. He says, I just approached, decided to change it up and walk with the girl, and then I had a massive panic attack for the last 2 hours. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend walking with the girl, to be honest.
I'm also surprised if it's not a troll comment about the panic attack for 2 hours, but fair play.
Yeah, and then he says, then the girls I really like were checking me out, FFS.
Right, Senor Elf Tao, you've done a bit of this commenting, and it seems you need some feedback. I'd really encourage you to get in touch. I think you're in London. Get in touch with Mr. Francis. Send him an email. Yes. Go out for an hour, 2 hours. 2-hour taste as well.
Troy@realtroyfrancis.com.
For those of you that are in London, actually, it is worth mentioning. So we're reinitiating what we used to do, which is offering a 2-hour taster session. So you come out with Troy in London, 2 hours, £279, and meet up with a coffee for him. He'll give you some, pre-brief, and then you smash the approaching with him. He's going to send you in like a maniac for an hour and a half, and then you sit down at the end, debrief, right? What went well? What can be improved? And that's a good way of dipping your toe into this. Or if you're on a budget, just get a bit of feedback, because that will make a massive difference. So £279 in London, valid for the next 2 months. Anyone that wants to try that as a dipping your toe in. And ultimately, what you're probably going to see is, fuck, this is really good. This is a learnt skill. I feel really good. I've got some numbers. Let's join these fuckers, Tusk and Troy, around the world somewhere and have a blast. Because that's ultimately what we want you to do. But some guys need a bit of the kind of gentle mollycoddling, dipping their toe in rather than jumping into the freezing cold pool to begin. So that's an option.
Yes, absolutely. So another comment about Mike Sartain. Any comments on socials game? A la Mike Sartain. Well, you know people who've done the program, don't you? Or who are sort of on the inside.
Well, also our Instagram guy, Felipe, he kind of does a miniature version of this in a classier way. But ultimately, it's not a quick fix. It's a slow build. It's going to take you a couple of years to really build it up. And at the same time, you still need to be working on being social, because we've had it before where I've taken a couple of clients to modeling shoots, and then they haven't been doing reps, and they sit there very fucking awkwardly around a load of models. And it's actually quite an uncomfortable experience to be a part of if you don't know how to.
I actually had a conversation the other day with a guy who had done the Sartain course and actually now, or has done some work for them as well. And he said, in his opinion, that it makes you more, the phrasing he used was something like, it makes you more of what you already are. So if you're somebody who's getting girls anyway, you're going to get a load of girls from it. If you're not, then you're not. Which I think for people who are looking at this and they're thinking, oh, that's looks like an attractive hack. You can't get around, and you said before that they also teach cold approach anyway on that course, because
they market the course as anti-cold approach, but then from the year-long course, from people I spoke to, they actually teach cold approach for 6 months of it, because they understand you've still got to be around people, right? It was interesting for this guy then to be quite candid about it in a way, even though he works for them.
Well, he wasn't. Look, I mean, he wasn't slating them or anything like that. He wasn't like, oh, it's trying to say it was, you know, a rip-off or anything like that. But he was, yeah, I mean, he was saying what I've suspected and what we've talked about before, which is that, you know, great, okay, so let's just say that you, after years and years of slogging it away in the trenches in Vegas, you get a group of female friends together. Sounds like a bit of a nightmare to me, but anyway, so say you do that. Okay, fine. But if you're a bit of a flannel, you're just going to turn up to the club with these girls. They're just going to walk off and talk to other dudes, and you're
yeah, get railed by I absolutely. Look, not to criticize Sartain, he's obviously done very well. He's a businessman, but I don't know. As a masculine guy, I find it slightly disingenuous seeing him on talk shows sitting around with his 5 women that he's not banging there, his friends, but actually seemingly to give a fuck about her dating life. Or I just can't. A masculine guy. We're painting black and white here, but again, I want to say you're not being authentic, but it doesn't seem very fun. There's no, obviously he's playing a role, but it doesn't even seem like a good use of time. It's at some stage he's going to fuck off and get plowed by someone. That's the end of that chapter, because women will just throw friendships out the window.
Yeah, you know? It seems like a lot of work for when you could just walk up to a girl in the grocery store and ask her out for a coffee or ask her out.
And the beauty of this thing that we encourage you to do is get on a plane, and it's a transferable skill set. So me and Troy and, you know, guys we work with know at any stage, if we just fuck off to a place with hot girls, we're going to be able to touch down and meet some girls pretty fucking quickly and date. It's no cost to entry. It's transferable as fuck. It builds on itself because you get more and more socially free and charismatic the more you practice it. So we're not saying don't have an online presence, don't organize photo shoots, don't do all of this stuff. But, okay, I'm in China. You mean China White?
China.
The old days. China. Which actually, ironically, means heroin, doesn't it? It doesn't mean coke at all. But there you go, confusing. Any final parish comments? Parish notices? Or are we out for the day?
There's a couple of things. I mean, so Eclipse is saying that you can't, not trying to have a go, but I wouldn't approach an Anglosphere gym. Women will think you're a creep and spread negative words about you. I'm not trying to have a go, lads.
I don't want to with you, boys. Yeah. Wow. No, look, I can tell you it's not true.
I'm not.
I can affirm this isn't true. Because I still regularly go back to see my parents who are based in London, and I still go to gyms. And I'm still approaching gyms. Yeah, and it's not.
He goes on to say, I'd only suggest approaching after getting to know everyone over 2 to 3 months during fitness classes on a consistent basis, then suggesting a group event at a pub, and then approaching with a semi.
I mean, that sounds like an incredibly long-winded way of seducing an average chav.
Yeah, Eclipse, sorry, but with all due respect, this is just not true, because, I mean, I have approached in gyms in the Anglosphere, but further to that, I've said this before, over the road, I go to this gym that's literally just over the road from my house, and there's a guy in there who talks to girls all the time. I've watched him do it. Like, he literally goes around, he's just kind of super social, whatever, talks to everybody, talks to girls in there. I've seen him get phone numbers. This is in London, for fuck's sake. I mean, it's, you know, there's no problem at all. You're inventing a problem, and the solution that you're presenting just sounds like such a ball ache. You know, I mean, who's got time for all that? Go to these classes for 2 or 3 months.
And then what happens if you've done all that? Like, you spend guarding all that for like 6 months, and then you finally get the girl one-on-one. She's like, oh, I'm not interested. Yeah, I mean, what an incredible waste of like time.
Yeah,
to do all that.
Yeah, you know? Yeah, exactly. So that's not. I wouldn't try that at home.
Yes, Eclipse. I disagree. Might be an Australian specific thing. But no, it's not. It's not an Australian specific thing. We've got coaches who live in Australia who regularly approach in gyms and do not do that model and date women. So look, the only nuance here, I'm moonlighting between different gyms. I'm traveling full time, right? So I can go into the gym, be a bit more direct with girls, and it doesn't matter because I'm probably not going to return to the gym. If you're a regular in the gym and you go at the same time every day, yes, you do have to tread more carefully, but you can still start a conversation with a girl about anything, see what the vibe is. And if she's keen, you can just get her, ask her out for a coffee. Right?
No, just see a personal trainer. Jim is pure frame. Trainer wins. Random guy working out approaches creep.
Crypto Bro 793. Good to see MLD's back on our comments.
I kind of know what he means, and it's not true. It's not true.
The thing is with all these comments, and not to, I like the fact guys are commenting. It's great because you want a bit of healthy debate. But myself, Troy, and the guys, we've done this a lot. So we're basing all of what we're saying our opinion on actual hundreds of real world experience examples. I've approached in hundreds of gyms, both where I'm living for a long time, normal gyms that I'm not changing between, and moonlighting between different gyms. And I know from experience, it's a very viable environment to be social, because most people aren't doing it and or don't do it in a calibrated way. So you'd be surprised what you can make happen.
The problem with this kind of thing is it sounds right. Because, yeah, you're right. In a way, yeah, personal trainer has more status. He's part of it. Okay, get it. But you're saying the random guy in the gym is considered a creep. So you've read some stuff on social media about, women are making TikToks of guys who approach them in gyms. So those guys being labelled creeps, but the personal trainer is going to win out because it all sounds right. But when you put it past the reality test, it all falls apart. Because the fact of the matter is, so again, the gym that I go to, right, there are personal trainers there. They tend to be sitting on the computer, ignoring everybody. They're not really hitting on the girls. It's probably a sack of friends. And the dude who's the random guy goes around and chats to a load of people and gets their phone numbers. So it's just not. It sounds right, but it's just not reality. And I would suspect that you haven't tried this, or you haven't.
That's exactly it. Guys that have tried it will know this isn't reality. So the only way to, and we can tell straight away by comments of guys who are the hypotheticals.
There's a gym hierarchy. What you say? Well, yeah, but I mean, I would say that makes sense more in a class setting. Maybe I would say that salsa class, you've got the salsa teacher. Yes, I would say that the staff. There are personal trainers in this gym over here, or guys who will do training. They're just sitting around. They're not talking to any of the customers. They're just like it doesn't matter. It's who does she think is hot in the moment. You know, it's not a super status thing for some dude to be working in a gym. Oh my god, I got to fuck this guy.
It's like saying at a nightclub or bar you go to, all women are only going to have eyes for the most powerful man in the club, either the owner of the club or the DJ, and bang him, and you've got no shot at like chatting to a random girl. It's just not true, right? She might just like how you look. You might be her type. You might catch her when she's horny.
Eclipse is saying, I've tried it. People don't want to be bothered and are paranoid. Okay, could that possibly be maybe something?
Yeah, it could. You know what? It could be true, especially if you're uncalibrated, or it's a very it's a small gym and you know everyone very well, and that's all you've gone to. But I'd urge you to maybe try it in different gyms 20, 25 times. Try out a theory you have and see if it's disprovable, because I guarantee it probably is. And my experience of doing a lot of gym approaches is actually, it's very rare you get a bad reaction. She might not be interested and she kind of turns away straight away, but fine, go back to your workout. It's really that simple. So I don't know.
I've got access. So I've got access to a relatively cheap sort of 24/7 gym here. And I've also got access to a fairly relatively high-end gym in central London, or a couple of relatively high-end gyms. I don't think in either of them the women are really clamoring to sleep with the personal trainers from what I've seen. Not really. Because again, look, we live in the world of Instagram. We live in the world of, they are bombarded with status signals all the time. Being a personal trainer in a gym, even in a quite high-end gym, is not really a flex. You know, she's just, okay, right, you're a personal trainer, so you earn 49k a year. Okay, great. You know, in London, that's not, who gives a fuck about that?
That's it.
So, yeah. But anyway, we're lingering too much on this point, really, which is not really probably right.
Well, I think it's important that guys actually go and try the gym approaches, because for me, it's a lucrative gold mine and it's very, very underrated. There's 70% of all the daytime approaches I do are either in shopping malls, or gyms or coffee shops. It's not actually running around the street calling people French, surprisingly, although that's what we film for YouTube.
Yeah. I met one of the great Magdas, Magda.
In a gym. We were there in Zedro Fit in near Puru Hotel, I remember.
Yeah. And there was staff there. I don't see her clamoring to go and bang the staff of the local gym, to be honest. So,
100% agree. So, look, if you become calibrated at this stuff, you don't start seeing places, coffee shop, gym, mall, street. You just see hot girl and you go and think, right, I find it attractive. I'm going to give it a crack. I'm going to say something and test for interest, and you'll be surprised. You can make shit happen in any scenario if the girl's into you and is sexually available.
Yeah.
And it's really like we dress different scenarios up as, oh, that's more high pressure than the other. In our heads, it's true. The reality, it's just you talking to another human being. And if you shoot your shot enough with different women in different situations, it tends to work sometimes.
Yes.
That's all this is. We want to try and minimize all this stuff around it and just think, Occam's razor. What's the simplest solution? Speak to more of the opposite sex until my life is filled with enough of the opposite sex, and I'm good at this stuff.
I'm sick of it.
Basically, and you're in our position and lecturing and wagging your finger on YouTube.
And just remember, Stavros is always watching. So
Dark Tribe Stavros is always watching.
Stavros is there waiting to steal your girl. So if you're not approaching, Stavros is.
Troy, that looks like AI. Is it?
Hate to break it to you guys. Oh, hate to break it to you guys, but it's AI. Anyway,
is it really? That's AI. You know, you almost had me fooled there. I mean, Jesus Christ. Yeah, on that playful, cheerful note, we will circle back round. Maybe the next stream we do is on all of our collection of the most horrendous red flag tales from the crypt we've ever had.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, the red flag files.
Rich Coop will be masturbating to the idea of that title, won't
he? She had tattoos.
Oh my God, she had tattoos. Right. Okay. On that note, cheers, guys. It's been a pleasure. Sayonara.
See you later. Bye.